to the house, the one they talking about, word of mouth. The boxing playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Boxing Playhouse, and this is your girl, Sakura A, with Emelio Santana.
What's up, y'all?
And you're watching After Dark series. You know what? We got a lot of great topics tonight, but I'm most excited because we have the amazing, handsome, distinguished, adorable, knowledgeable warrior, Brian Custer with us tonight. Let's go ahead and bring him on up here. What's up, man?
Right.
I appreciate the intro. Let me slide you that 50 that I promised you to read it. You read it just the way I had to send it to you. I appreciate that.
Well, I was trying to be nice, I thought it was worth $200.
You're like these fighters, you got to take a COVID cut. You know what I mean? There's a pandemic going on around here.
Yes, that is one of our topics tonight. But we first want to congratulate you on your new podcast, Last Stand. What an amazing, start you've had. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And where everybody can find you?
Yeah, hopefully everybody who's watching will go to YouTube right now and subscribe to the Last Stand podcast. Obviously you can watch it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, whether it be Google, iTunes, Spotify. But it's something that I'm really proud of. We started it off in June, and guys have been really receptive about coming on. Obviously we've got an episode going right now with Bud Crawford that a lot of people have been talking about. Tuesday, we dropped the episode with Deontay Wilder. We spent nearly an hour with Deontay Wilder. And so that I think that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows when they hear what Deontay Wilder has to say about Tyson Fury and Teofimo Lopez as well. We talked with him. So those are the ones that will be dropping here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, that Wilder interview. Boy, I can't wait to get my tea so I can start sipping on that situation.
Right.
Brian, though. Wait, Brian, you're stealing all our guests. We don't have any guests now because you're on the map, man.
And so we're working on getting Tyson Fury on as well to respond because Deontay had a lot to say about Tyson Fury in that fight.
Oh, that's gonna be amazing. I hope you can get him because I want to hear this rebuttal from Fury. Nobody talks trash as good as he does in boxing right now. So that's gonna be. I don't know how you're gonna contain him, but good luck on that one.
Absolutely. And, I think just listening to Deontay, listen, I think it's going to be one of those things where if you're a Deontay Wilder fan, I'm sure you probably will believe everything that he's saying. And if you're not, it's certainly going to raise a lot of eyebrows because he made some stark accusations at Tyson Fury about cheating in that fight. And I'm sure when people hear it, it's going to be controversial.
I'm a huge fan of Wilder's, but I can't go that far. I can't go that far at some of the stuff, but the glove was looking suspect. I'll say that, but some of this other stuff, like with his trainer Breland and all that, I can't. I just don't want to embrace that part. Brian, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I asked him specifically about Mark Breland and if he really believes that Mark Breland spiked his water. Listen, he has a reply for that. You guess you got his word on how he feels about that. My question also to him was about JD's, who's his other trainer / kind of quasi manager. And so my question to him was, why not the same venom at JD's when it was his job to be in the room with Tyson Fury when he got his hands wrapped and when he put on his gloves? So why not? He says, yes, he gave him a harsh tongue lashing, but overall, one of the main reasons why he didn't let him go was because it was Mark who threw in the towel, and Deontay Wilder said, "I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, and if I'm gonna live by the sword, I die by the sword. You do not throw the towel on me." And that's what he has implicitly told his corner. And he said, "Listen, Mark did not abide by my rules. They work for me, and that's one of the reasons why he let him go."
You got any comments about Wilder, baby?
Man, I'm just tired of all the excuses. You know, so many excuses. Remember the suit, the 40-pound suit?
Oh yeah, I asked him about that. I asked him. I said, "Why is that?" When you first, I said, when the fight initially was over, the reason one of the reasons why you said you lost that fight was because of your legs were weak from that 40-pound suit. Why is that not the case anymore? And listen, he went into detail that was something that people heard him and his people talking about in the dressing room, and they went with it. And but obviously he said, his legs were tired when he got there. When he took the mask off, people could see that his eyes were kind of not the same, that he wasn't himself, and he believes some of that had to do with the water that he drank as well. Listen, the one thing I've learned, I've been married for almost 20 years, is that you never discount someone's feelings. I think when I first got married, my wife told me she felt something a certain way, and I said, "You feeling that way is ridiculous." And that was one of the worst mistakes I've ever made in my life. So now that here I am 19 years in, I realize when someone feels the way they are, that's their feelings, and you can't discount that. And so, listen, when people hear Deontay, I know there's going to be a number of people who are going to say, "Man, come on." But those are his feelings. And it's not for me. It's not for anyone else to discount it. That's the way he feels. And so because he feels that way, this is the route he's taking.
Okay. Yeah.
That's something I want to ask Brian.
Go ahead.
Brian, I want to go back about 9 months. Do you remember in Atlanta when I walked up to you, I had on the gold shoes? I said, "Man, can I get a picture?" You remember?
Doc, let me tell you something. You was treated in the border of health that day. And you look like one of Atlanta's finest. When you came up through there, and I see you got the cup on. You got the cup with you right now. Hey, the Bishop Don you were really clean that night, my brother.
Hey, I appreciate that, Brian, man, and we appreciate you talking to us that night too, man. You were real cool, down to earth dude, man. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, listen, I love people who come out to the fights. I love our fans. I love people who support. And listen, it's been different with this pandemic. I mean, obviously we did that fight with Tank where we finally had some fans, but we still couldn't really interact with them at all. We had to keep them at a distance. And I'm just hoping that we can eventually sometime soon get past this pandemic and get back to normalcy.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh. We got so many questions. I was going to say that I just wanted to let you know that I admire you so much for your work with the cancer, prostate cancer, and also just watching you go through fighting it while you were still working. Yeah. And so in my mind, I was like, I have an immune condition, and I'm like, man, I can't do anything. I'm, this and that. But then when I saw you and you were still getting it, like you was like still hosting, still doing everything, announcing everything. And so I was like, you know what? I can still do something too. I mean, I can't let this get me down like this. And I see someone here that is like, doing their best. So I just admire you so much just for that. And it means so much to have watched you be open about that, going through the cancer, prostate cancer and everything. So thanks so much for that.
No, I appreciate that. And, I've been on a mission to make sure that men of color, make sure they get tested, get a PSA test, especially if you're 40 years old or older. This is something that affects 1 out of 9 men across the world, but black men 1 out of 7, and it's killing us at twice the rate. that it's killing white males. So that's why it's very important. It's also important because it's the silent killer. And so generally you won't know you have prostate cancer until it's too late. And so that's why it's so important that you get checked, because if you get checked and you get it caught early, I mean, you can live a long, healthy life. And, you know, for me, thank goodness. I mean, I was a guy who always went to the doctor every year. So that's kind of how I got diagnosed. And, you know, for mine, unfortunately, was really aggressive. And that, you know, if I hadn't had surgery, you know, doc told me I'd be dead within a year or two. So, you know, I had to get surgery. And then after having surgery and maybe after a year or so of surgery, I thought I was fine. And, you know, obviously some of it had come back. And so I had to go through 32 bouts of high grade radiation. And, you know, so I was working at the time too. So I would, you know, fly, we would do fights, and I know I would come back and then 6 o'clock in the morning, be out there at that radiation center to get those treatments and do that just about every day. And yeah, it was a struggle, but you know, listen, as you talked about, when you have a family, and I have boys, you know, I'm fighting for them. I wanted to be there and see them grow and, you know, graduate and things of that nature. So I knew I had a higher purpose, and I had to work. I mean, you know, I couldn't just sit at home. So, you know, you have to bring some stuff for the family. And, you know, when you're on television, I mean, I don't think anybody is really concerned about what I got going on at home. I mean, they turn on, they want to be entertained, and they want to see the fights, and they want to see a good broadcast. So when that light came on, forget about whether or not I was nausea, I had just thrown up, or I had just come back from a treatment. You know, it was game time. It was time to perform. And so that's kind of the way I looked at it.
Well, you're amazing for that. And I really, really, really think that you probably inspired a lot more people just besides myself.
That's great. And again, it's very important that brothers get checked, because again, we're dying at such a high rate. It's the second most common cancer behind breast cancer. So that's how dire it is. And brothers, I want to make sure my black men get checked.
So how old do you need to be as a black man to first start getting checked?
40 years old or older. You should go to the doctor when you have your physical. Just say, hey, look, can I get a PSA test as well? It's just a blood test, and make sure you get that done. Matter of fact, if you just saw Al Roker just had his regular physical, and they checked his, and it was high, and he just had surgery as well. So that's how important it is and imperative. And thank goodness that he goes to the doctor every year, because again, if he had not, it could have been a dire situation for him.
Wow. And it's also 40 for colon cancer for African Americans too.
Absolutely.
So that's a key year that we all need to make sure we check into. Well, I got some super fans that we want to introduce. They are super Brian Custer fans.
All right.
So there's two of them. We got one from New York. He is Clarence McLean. So Clarence, hey, what's up, Clarence?
What's up, guys?
All right.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian, how you feeling?
I'm great, my brother. How are you?
Hey, Brian, let me tell you something, man. I'm kind of jealous of you, man. You're bald-headed and you're good-looking, and I don't like that. I got an issue with you, man.
Well,
Wow.
Let's put it like this. I'm not follically challenged by choice. So, you know, when it was leaving, I was like, you know what? I'm on television. I can't have like the LeBron type thing, trying to hold on to it. I'm just going to shave it all off.
Wow. All right. And I got Rob. He's with Heavy Bag Boxing, and he's from the ATL.
Love the ATL.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Just want to say, as a up and coming blogger, up and coming podcast personality, you one of my idols. I definitely look up to you. I watch all your shows and everything.
I appreciate that, man. Listen, you know, one thing I would say is a lot of it is relationships. You know, relationships are so important, not only professionally, personally as well, but I think a lot of a reason why that so many of these guys have been so open and honest with me about their lives and what's going on is because of the relationships, and they know that I'm going to treat them fairly. Now, listen, there have been times where before we start the interview, I may tell them, "Hey, look, I do have some hard questions for you, but I make sure that I'm fair." And I think everybody who's come on to the show and done the Last Stand podcast have always said, "You know what? I enjoyed this because he may have asked me some hard questions, but he's fair." And I think that's probably the best advice I would give anybody. Develop relationships and just make sure you're fair, and those guys will respect you for that.
Brian, I had a question.
Well, I appreciate that, Brian, because I got some tough questions for you tonight. But
all right,
Brian, I wanted to ask you, how long have you been covering boxing, and who's your favorite fighter?
So yeah, I think I've been doing this. I want to say 10 years or so now. Been in the television business for over 20. And so, when I started out mostly like a lot of people as a sports anchor, news reporter. And then, as I was going on and doing it, finally got my foot in boxing in the sport that I loved. And, was calling a lot of club shows. There was a show in New York City called Broadway Boxing that Lou DiBella, a promoter there, does. And he still does that show. It's probably the longest running club show on television. And so that's kind of where I started. And, Showtime and at the time, Showtime and HBO. HBO had a show called HBO After Dark, if you guys remember that. And they initially wanted me to do that, and then Showtime came to me, and I just felt like for me, the Showtime was the better fit, and so that's why I chose Showtime. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And your favorite fighter, Brian?
Favorite fighter? That's hard, man. I got so many guys that I just really like. I mean, I could name off a number of them, from Errol Spence. I like Bud Crawford. I like Danny Garcia. Obviously, I like Deontay because of the knockout power that he has. But I think there have been a number of guys who've been really, really good to me. Errol's been great because he's even allowed me to sit in on his camp sometimes and on his closed door sparring, watching spar. So he's certainly right up there at the top.
You had one of my favorites on your show, Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you're talking all time, I think for me is Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, that was my guy. I just, as reading up and seeing old films of him and the way he fought, and the number of times he fought, and then to go up to different weight divisions. To me, he's the ultimate. But guys who I saw, obviously Ali, because that's what you saw as a kid. It was nothing greater than Muhammad Ali. And as I became in my teens, it was Sugar Ray Leonard, who it was like, because I love Sugar Ray Robinson, you had to love Sugar Ray Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you talk about great fighters, those are my all-time greats.
Okay.
Let's read some of these comments from Brian. Okay, we got Alana. She says, "Damn, Sakura, Brian's so handsome." We got Court. She says, #boxing playhouse. Has Brian always had a love for the sport, or has the profession taken him there?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, absolutely. I was a martial artist. I grew up as a martial artist, so I've always grown up in martial arts. Loved Bruce Lee, one of my idols. And so for me, that was kind of my way to kind of transition into boxing as in my young 20s, from martial arts into boxing. And so I've always just loved the sport. And it was, for me, just getting my foot into broadcasting boxing was always the issue for me, because I was a sports anchor. And once I got to New York City, that's when that door opened up, and Lou DiBella found me, and the rest was history.
Wow, that's amazing.
All right.
I know. And then we got the beautiful Dahlia Duran,
Hall of Famer.
2020 Hall of Famer for Florida. She says, "Hi, Brian. I thank you so much for your contributions to boxing. Hashtag Boxing Playhouse."
I love it. I hope all these folks have subscribed to the Last Stand podcast on YouTube, because we need about 10,000 subscribers. So we're almost there. So we need all these folks to make sure they subscribe to the podcast.
Definitely.
Okay, tell them to go over there now, subscribe to Last Stand. That's on YouTube. And while you're there, sign up for Boxing Playhouse too.
Yeah, exactly. Doing both now. Just hit subscribe to both of them.
Exactly. And then we got Alexandria. She said, "So handsome, Mr. Custer."
I love it. That's, man, they feed my ego tonight, man. And I look, and I listen. I don't think we're back until Showtime. I think in December is when we're back. I think we have Boots coming on. Let's see who else. I think Donaire just has COVID, so he has come out of that card. But I know Boots is on that card. And look, I tell him I got my new suit. I just had my new suit custom and made. So I'm ready for y'all. I'm ready for y'all.
What color? Please tell us what color.
It's blue. It's a nice gray type, blue type suit. I'm coming with the fire in December. Plus, that's my birthday month, so I'm ready.
All right.
All right. Okay. Sagittarius.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What day, Brian? What day?
The 7th.
Oh man,
Wow.
my daughter's birthday.
No.
Well, listen, they try to say in history because of Pearl Harbor, but I always say it was because when I was born, that's when they said this is a day that will live in infamy.
Right.
They try to say that was Pearl Harbor, but I say that's what the doctor said when I was born. So December 7th, that's it.
Yeah.
Brian living his best life in his blue slate suit. Okay, we got Amber, and she wants to know if you're single.
Oh, you still
No, I'm not. I've been married almost 19 years now. So no, I'm not.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hard to get to 20, man. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey Brian, I got a question, Brian. What's the key to that? I mean, 19 years, that's a lot of years, man. I mean, you got to school me on how to do it. I've been with my wife for 2 years. How do you do it, man?
Yeah, I would say a lot of compromise. A lot of compromise because, listen, I have a strong woman, a strong sister who's really been great for me. Listen, she is from Dallas, and we've gone from Dallas to New York. She allows me to do what I do, which is travel a lot. I'm in Nebraska right now because I have to do a college football game, Nebraska and Penn State tomorrow. So she's taking care, obviously, of home with the boys, but she also works. She's the vice president at her job. So she does phenomenal things. And, you got to compromise because it's not easy. And when you have two strong-willed people like we both are, you're going to knock heads sometimes, but then you look at it and you say, that's my best friend. I mean, no one else is going to do for me what she's going to do for me. And listen, she's seen me at my highest, and she's seen me at my worst. And, when you get diagnosed and get told that you could possibly die, I mean, she was right there. I mean, there was no one else in that foxhole with me besides her to make sure I pulled through. So I think that's the key to it, man. You got to make sure you got somebody who loves you for you.
Wow.
That's right. You gotta have that ride or die.
The good and the bad. You know what I mean? Because there's gonna be some bad, and you gotta want to be married. I always tell people that you gotta want to be married because there's gonna be a lot of things that come at you, but you gotta want to be married.
Brian is over here preaching.
It's the truth. You know it.
Okay, Brian, we're ready for your questions. We're ready for your. Don't go too hard on Brian because we want him to come back one day. We don't want him to get too scared of you and all these questions now.
Be nice, Rob.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna start you off. I'm gonna start you off with a good one, a nice and easy one. But for my curiosity, which part of broadcasting do you like the most? are you a numbers guy? Do you like going over all the numbers and crunching the stats? Or do you like all the backstories and digging in and diving to the
Yeah,
boxer's life?
I think for me it is about their story, and I think that's the true essence of what it's all about, really, isn't it? Because it's not that listen. I think it's great when you have numbers about someone. It's great to say, hey, this guy has a whatever 95% knockout ratio. But I think what really draws you to that fighter is when you feel like you have a personal connection with that fighter, that you feel like you know that person. And so whether it is someone like, let's say, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, a Gervonta Davis, someone who comes from poverty, whose parents were on drugs, he was in an orphanage, he was the property of the state, and yet fought his way out of there and now becomes a world champion. And it seems like everyone around him ended up was shot and killed, but yet he made it. Or it is, someone else like an Errol Spence, a kid who was just, really talented, could have played any sport, but yet had this attraction to boxing. And all of a sudden, he has that Southern charm about him, and that's what draws you to him. So to me, it's the stories of some of these fighters that I like the most, as opposed to just the numbers.
Yeah, and I can definitely appreciate that. I'm a numbers guy myself. Shakira will tell you because I run down the numbers on the show every week. But yeah, it's those backstories that I really like and enjoy, and you really seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. Daniel Jacobs, a guy who gets cancer in the back of his spine, told that he wouldn't be able to walk again, and now all of a sudden the guy goes off, becomes a world champion, and does great things. I mean, so there's just so much, and I think this is the beauty of boxing, because it is really the only sport that is dominated by us, people of color, who these kids in any other, I think, walk of life probably wouldn't be here. Either the streets or somewhere else may have taken these guys, but yet they had this skill to fight. And because of that skill to fight, and really it's the metaphor of life, because life is a fight, really, isn't it? And because these guys have this skill, they have raised themselves out of, a lot of times, from their product of their environment, become rich and become world champions. And to me, that is the beauty of this sport, and why I love it so much, that so many, and respect these guys so much, that they can get in the ring, put their lives on the line, and yet have pulled themselves out of situations and environments that could have killed them, and become rich. That's why I love the sport so much.
Absolutely. This next one's a little tougher. So I apologize in advance. But I'm just curious to know, within the network, it seems like these networks all have like certain relationships to certain promotional companies.
Yeah.
For example, I would say Showtime within PBC.
Right. Why
is that? And do you think that should change or could change?
Well, I think in a perfect world, absolutely. I think that we would love that everybody would get along. And what I mean by that is that, whether it's Top Rank says, hey, look, you know what? We want to do deals with Showtime. We want to do deals with Fox. We want to do deals with ESPN. We want to do deals with DAZN. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things where whether it is DAZN says, hey, look, I got this deal with Matchroom, and Matchroom is going to put all of their fighters on our network, and they're going to deal with us. And let's say Top Rank says, I got this deal with ESPN. We're going to put all of our fighters just on ESPN. Obviously, we have a relationship with the PBC, and they do as well with Fox. And so that's why you see a lot of them there. It's just the way it is. It's the unfortunate part of sports for boxing. And, I think eventually maybe we can get to a point where we can, all the promoters will say, okay, you know what, let's do a deal, and let's make a good fight, and let's put it on this network. Next time we put it on another network. But unfortunately, that's just not the way it is, because everybody wants their money, their piece of the pie. And so if I'm Matchroom and not DAZN, I want only those fights on my network because I don't want to split money with someone else. And basically, that's what it boils down to. These guys, we, and now when I say the collective we, Showtime, we're not trying to split money with DAZN. We're not trying to split money with ESPN and them as well. So that's why they want to have their fighters on their network. We want to have our fighters on there because we want the best fights on our platform.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too in a situation like Canelo recently, where he just went ahead and announced his free agency. So do you think that might be kind of where some of these fighters will go to in the future?
Well, now here's the interesting thing. I will say that that's twofold. Number one, he had to fight for it, so there was litigation there. So it wasn't like he just said, I'm out, and hey, I'm just going to. So it wasn't like that. No. That was some litigation there. I think number two, because of the pandemic. Listen, DAZN paid him like $300 million. Now all of a sudden, DAZN is hurting. I mean, it is hard to just have fights on an app and think that you are going to attract a number of people and get those kind of ratings and get that kind of money back when you are just have an app. And especially when you look at the landscape, who does DAZN have for Canelo to fight except Triple G? That's it. I mean, let's be honest. If he's not going to fight Triple G, who else is there over there that he can really fight besides, like, say, an Andrade? But they still don't want to put them two together because it's like, okay, these are our two best fighters. Why would we let them fight each other? Let's let them fight other people. I can't let them fight each other because if we let them fight each other, now people ain't gonna really want to watch us anymore after that. So I think what happened was Canelo kind of got tired because it was like, well, first of all, I'm not getting the matchups I want, and then DAZN, because they weren't making money, said, you know what? We putting you in here with guys who are on your level. I think we need to kind of cut your money. Plus, we're in a pandemic. And he said, no, you're not. You pay me that all that $30 million. So that means every fight, pay me my $30 million. Pandemic be hell, you paying me my money. And so that was the reason why they negotiated. Okay, you can go. That's the only reason. Money was the only reason, because DAZN felt like they couldn't pay him anymore for these fights that they were putting on because no one wanted to see those. They wanted to see Canelo against a Charlo or Canelo against somebody else, and they couldn't make that happen and make money off of it. That's why he ended up leaving.
Oh man, that's a great observation. I appreciate your honesty on that one. Sakura, I promise I got one more. I'm gonna let up. But I gotta get this one in here.
Go ahead, Rob. Do your thing.
So Floyd Mayweather recently spoke, about there being too many belts in the sport of boxing.
Right.
So I kind of want to get your take with all these belts going out there and how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he said anything that I don't think no one else has said for a long time. I mean, I think we all in a perfect world would like to know that when I say I'm the heavyweight champion of the world, that there's only one belt. I mean, let's be honest. I think Ray Mancini, Boom Boom Mancini, said it best when he said, "How many worlds are there?" When they said he's the WBO world champion, he's the IBF world champion. Listen, how many worlds are there? Last time I checked, there was only one world. So, yeah, I think in a perfect world, I think that's what we all would like to see. But you know what? When you have the WBA and IBF, these sanctioning fees, they like the money. And so why not give out belts like candy? Hey, look, pay that, hundreds of thousands of dollars for sanctioning fee, and I'll come up. You can be the regular champion. You can be the interim champion. You can be the franchise champion. And now the WPC, you can be the Bridgerweight champion. I mean, come on. It is just another way for these guys to make money. And that's the unfortunate part of the business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They even
thank you, Brian.
What we were going to say is our hot topic for tonight is based on the lightweight division, so we can continue this conversation. But Teofimo Lopez has warned Gervonta not to overprice himself.
Right.
He said, "You are not Mayweather. I'm the inside. I said on Twitter, and oh my God, did I start something bad? Because I said, wait a minute, he feels that way because you got ESPN and different people, his fans, everybody saying that he's the undisputed champ of the lightweight division. Now I want to know, what is your definition of undisputed, and do you think T.O. fits that bill?
Yeah, so listen, and I even had to promote him like that too, because we had to get people to watch the episode we have with Teofimo coming on. He inherited that belt that Lomachenko had, the franchise belt. So I think in our system today, you have all 4 belts, you're undisputed. And so I understand what Teofimo is coming from. He's trying to say, listen, at the lightweight division, I got most of the straps. I'm strapped up for the most part. Tank is saying, I'm the biggest draw. You may have the belts. I'm the biggest draw. I sell out arenas. So if we're going to fight, I should be the A side because I'm the guy bringing people to this arena, not you. And so that is his take on that. Teofimo says, no. I'm the guy coming in with all the belts for the most part. I'm the guy who beat Lomachenko, who all of y'all have not fought and didn't really want to fight, but yet I did it. So I'm the man. I'm the A side, and let's make these fights. I do like Teofimo's response for this. He just wants to be, he wants to be great. And he's like, let's just fight. Forget about all of this. You with them, you're with them. Let's just fight. I took a pay cut for the most part to fight Lomachenko because I wanted the recognition. I feel like I'm the best at 135. I could beat this guy. So for me, I had no problem being the B side. But now that I've slayed the dragon, oh no, I'm not being the B side anymore. I'm the A side. And so that's where you have the discrepancy between there. One guy saying, I got the belts, I'm the A side. The other guy say, but I'm the draw. I'm the A side. And, so now you're going to see if they can come to some kind of agreement. Listen, good luck, because it is hard when you got Top Rank and PBC trying to come together on a fight. That's a tough task.
Yes, it's tough, but we fans really want to see it, and we're willing to pay for it. Yeah. We already know that Gervonta Tank Davis has had 2 pay-per-view bouts that were successful versus our man Tia, who he did garner a lot of viewership from his fight with Lomachenko. How much of that was Lomachenko's viewers and how many were Tio's, we'll never know. So, I mean, he can say that he's had a big viewership on regular TV, but I do feel that Tank is the A side in that one. And I think of someone that's got all the belts is a unified champ, but not undisputed because, well, he didn't beat the man that beat the man that beat the man, because Lomachenko hadn't fought a few of those top prize fighters at lightweight when Tio fought him. So that's why I was like adamant, like he's not really undisputed. Rob, do you think he's undisputed?
You would have to throw me in there now. You know what? I'd have to say this about Tio though. Everybody had Lomachenko #1 pound for pound. Yeah. And correct. Tio beat him. And Tio beat him. Tank is just now on the come up, but he is a rising star. So, if you put that together, I think Tio has the accolades. Now, he hasn't beat all the fighters there yet, but I think that was a good start.
Absolutely. And Clarence?
Oh, go ahead, Clarence.
I can't say I'm not gonna get into it like Rob. I can't put it the way he did. I'm just ready to see them fight. I'm tired of the social media talk about who's the A side, who's the B side. Just get in there and fight. You got Tank from Maryland, you got Timo from New York. Listen, let's just get together and let's fight. I don't care if it's in a parking lot. Let's make it happen.
Brian, Brian, I want to know who's your favorite. I mean, not favorite, but who do you feel is the top pound for pound guy right now?
It's a great question. I think it is subjective. I think if for me, I think I would probably say Canelo for me right now would be the top guy. I think offensively gifted, defensively gifted. I do think Canelo wants to fight people, and he likes going to middleweight, going to light heavy, going to super middle. I mean, he doesn't care about weight divisions. He's gonna flow from top to bottom. So I do like that. So if I was going to put right now, I'd probably say Canelo.
Dang, that's the same guy I picked. You don't feel like he's ducking no Charlo, do you?
No, I don't. I don't think it. I don't. I just think honestly, really, fighters want to fight. They really do. Fighters want to fight. The problem is the business side. And you have guys who say, no, we in time, or let's not do that yet. Let's get you this. Let me do this. And that's the problem. And then all of a sudden it looks as if you're ducking this guy, or the perception is that you're ducking them. Those guys won't fight. You don't think Bud Crawford and Errol Spence want to fight?
Right.
I mean, they want to get at it. I mean, they're tired of hearing different stuff. But then you have a PBC, you have Al Heyman, you have a Bob Arum. And listen, I mean, if you're Bob Arum, I mean, do I really want him to go over to the PBC and if this is hypothetical. If he gets knocked off, it's like, oh man, now what do I do? He's one of my best fighters. He's really my only welterweight. And he got knocked off by a PBC guy. Oh man, I'm done. At least if I keep feeding him these other guys over here, he still has that mystique. And and I can keep building and building and making money until eventually these guys will have to meet. But listen, we saw how long it took Floyd and Manny Pacquiao to fight. And that was money, A, building it up, and B, because there were a lot of things, drug testing for that. And that, at the time, Manny wasn't down for some of that. So.
Well, Brian, Roy and Mike is finally getting ready to fight. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I mean, I watch it. I mean, it's I'm more concerned about health-wise. I mean, these guys, one's 51 or 52, the other one's 54. So I'm happy that they are wearing bigger gloves. That's number one, and that they're that they're doing stuff that take care of their health. I mean, because these aren't young men, and but yeah, I mean, from a nostalgia standpoint, yeah, I mean, I think it would be entertaining. I'm just hoping that both those guys come out of that healthy, because Roy had some vicious knockouts in his last fights, and I'm talking about being knocked out. And the last thing you want to do is see one of those guys hurt.
Right.
Yes.
Hey, Brian, I got a question, Brian. And this I've been thinking about what happened. What'd you say?
I'm asking Brian who he got. Do he have Roy Jones Jr. or do you have Mike Tyson? Who you got?
I think if it doesn't go rounds, Mike.
Okay.
If it goes rounds, I got Roy.
All right, that's pretty safe though, Brian. You're dodging. I'm gonna let you slide on that one though. Clarence,
Yeah, Brian, I got a question that I've been thinking about. A promoter job is to promote and a fighter job is to fight. Is there any way that a promoter can stop a fighter from taking a fight that promoter might not want him to take? Is that possible for that to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there have been instances on that, but I think, sometimes, like, let's say if you're a promoter and you have a fighter and the fighter says, no, get me that fight. I want this fight. He may say, okay, I'm trying to get it, but it can't happen because of the TV aspect of it. It's just, the networks don't want to play in the sandbox with one another. Me and that other promoter may want to do a deal, but maybe the networks ain't trying to split money. So then that becomes a problem. So there's a number of reasons why certain fights can't happen. And yeah, I'm sure there's been times where a promoter said, I don't think that's the best fight for you, even though I know you want it, but I don't think that's the best fight. And it could be for selfish reasons too, because maybe that promoter thinks, hey, look, if you get in this fight, you may lose, and then he gonna be mad at me and may leave me because I let him take this fight. So there's all kinds of things that go into this fight game, man. It's a crazy business sometimes.
Yes. Okay, so we got Crawford versus Brooke coming up soon.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
What do you guys think of it? I need your predictions. We'll start with Rob.
Again, I've been saying it all week long. This is a great fight. It really is a great fight. A lot of people are misconstruing Kell Brook because he's not the names that they want out there. But like I said all along, let's not forget, y'all wanted to see him fight Sean Porter. Kell Brook beat Sean Porter. Okay, so this is a great test. I think it's going to be a great fight. From what I'm seeing, Kell is ready. He's very prepared. But I think that Terrence Crawford might look a little suspect early, but I think he's going to be able to take him into deep water, and he's going to dominate the fight in those later rounds. I see Terrence Crawford with a unanimous decision, but it's going to be a lot closer than people think early.
Okay, Clarence, who you got?
You know what? To be honest, I wasn't crazy about this fight when I first heard about it, and I was jumping on the Bud, bandwagon. I was jumping on it, and then I had to think about it. Kell has, he's fought Sean, he's fought Triple G, and who else? He's fought Spence, and I couldn't think of any tough opponents like that Bud has fought, and that's not to discredit, Bud, but he's been in there with the best of them. I don't know, but at the end, I'm gonna have to go with Crawford. Now, there's gonna be a knockdown in the fight. I can't say who's gonna get knocked down, but somebody back is gonna hit that mat. Don't know who, but I'm gonna ride with Bud. Unanimous decision.
Okay. Oh, so 12. You think it's gonna go all 12? Okay, Brian.
Did you say who you got? Who you rolling with?
Oh, I'm Bud all day. Everybody.
Oh, okay.
Bud all day. They gonna have to prove to me that he ain't who he is.
Right.
He's like number one for me.
Well, I will say that Bud is a special fighter. That's number one. I think Kell was always a big welterweight, strong guy. Obviously, he took a lot of punishment in the Triple G fight, and then took even more punishment in that Errol Spence fight. And by the way, that's the last time he's fought at welterweight. It's been that long that he's fought at welterweight. So it was a task for him to get back down to 147 here to face Bud Crawford. I just think because of that reason, Bud is special, and I think you'll probably see why Saturday night, why he's one of those special welterweights in this fight.
Yes, I'm excited to see him display some of his southpaw versus orthodox moves.
And I think Clarence and Rob make a really good point, because I think Kell, from the England side, everyone thinks that he's washed up and thinks that this is like his last hurrah, so to speak. So he's really motivated. I mean, he's coming in motivated for this fight, and with it, especially with it being Bud Crawford too. So I do believe, like they said, it should be fireworks, because it's not like he's coming in there to box. He's coming in there to bang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? My thing is, when you start comparing who both of them fought, Clarence, for me, it's like, even though Brooke fought a Sean Porter and won, then I don't think he gets through a Sean Porter now if they had a rematch.
Oh, no.
I mean, so then you got to look at Spence, who just had a tremendous fight. You know, fight of the year for me with Spence. So I'm just like, how the heck does a Brooke deal with that? But I mean, it could be a kind of a litmus test for us just to see what level Bud really is on, or he could beat Brooke and people be like, well, we knew that anyway, so
Right.
It's like, who's going to be impressed? It
Right.
depends on how well Brooke is able to perform against him as to whether we consider that a legitimate name-worthy, person on his record.
Well, and I think if you watch the episode that we did with Bud, we kind of got into that, because I asked him, Errol's point was, you're fighting a guy who's damaged goods. You're only fighting because you want a name on your record at welterweight. And so Bud's reply to that, as he told me on the episode, was, I don't buy that, because if that's the case, then he was damaged goods when you fought him, because he was just coming off the Triple G massacre. That was Bud's response to that. But I think that the one thing that raised a lot of people's eyebrows was when I asked Bud about legacy, and not overall legacy, but at welterweight. Aren't you salivating to have that kind of fight at 147 that builds your legacy? And he said, no, I think my legacy is already intact. But yeah, obviously, I want those kind of fights. I want to be in those kind of fights, like the Haglers, the Hearns, and I understand where they are. And so, I said, well, Bob Arum had made the comment that he could see you leaving Top Rank for the PBC. And so I said, I want your response to that. And he was very honest, like, absolutely. I mean, I could see that too. And so that's when I pressed him about, well, how much longer is on your Top Rank contract, and what would make you leave? And he said, business. If I don't get those fights that I want, then yeah. And I think Bud realizes, you know what, all of these guys over there ain't coming across the street to fight me. And it's not like, PBC and ESPN are looking to do split revenue and do fights anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to just go across the street. And so that could be something that we see here in the future. And that's something that we discussed in the episode.
Oh my God, that would be some major coins, man.
Yeah.
Brian, I just want to know what number they are going to put PBC or even Mayweather Promotions. What number would they put on a Bud being over in a staple? Like, that has got to be a huge number.
Yeah, I think it would be something where it would more likely probably be him signing with Al Heyman as, his manager, because he's not a promoter.
Right.
And, listen, the beauty with all those guys over at the PBC, they will say, hey, look, Al takes care of his fighters. So he makes sure he gets you the most money possible. Hey, look, Bud could be fighting you or me, and he's still going to get paid $1.5 million or $2 million. And that's just what Al does, because he wants to make sure that his fighters are well taken care of.
Brian, how many times have you seen Al?
I'd say a few times. I think he's been at all the major fights. He came to when we did Wilder Fury. He came to obviously all the Mayweather fights. He doesn't come to them obviously now with the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, it'd have to be a major. It would be a major fight for him to come to. He's not going to just come to a regular fight or show, because again, he doesn't really want to be seen. So he'll stay in the corridor of the arena. And a lot of times he'll be right behind the curtain, watching right behind the curtain. So yeah, he can to not be seen.
Great odds.
So Brian, how can we catch up with Mr. Al? Because he's like Carmen Sandiego. He's there 1 minute, and then it's like he's gone. How are you supposed to catch up with him? He never stays still.
Yeah, he's not going. If he sees media people coming, oh yeah, he's out. He's not going to stand around. He's not going to stand around for that. That's why he will wait till the fight begins, and then he'll come into the corridor. Generally, I shouldn't even be saying this, but he's going to come into the corridor of the arena, and he'll be in there watching the fight. You know, people think he's like up in the suite. No, he's down on the floor, but he'll stay in that hallway area of the corridor of the arena, and we'll watch it from there. Now, because, you know, he got caught at one time when he was sitting ringside, and I think it was the Times or somebody got that picture of him, so he didn't like that. So it's like that's why he stays in the corridor now.
Wow.
Brian, I got one quick question. If you was Adrian Broner's advisor, what words would you give to him?
Oh.
Oh
no, he don't put his hand up.
Yeah. Adrian's he's my brother. I would say hashtag adjusting to fame still adjusting to fame, like he always puts on his social media. I think as again, and I will say to everybody who's watching, subscribe to the Last Stand podcast on YouTube and watch the Adrian Broner episode. Because the question I asked him was whether it is Gervonta, whether it is Errol Spence, all of these guys will tell you that Adrian Broner has given them the best advice. Advice sometimes they haven't listened to, but they have taken heed of it now. And so as I asked Adrian Broner, why don't you listen to your own advice? And, you know, he said, you know what? Sometimes I am what I am. And, you know, I'm a street N-word, and I just act like that sometimes. And as he said, I'm still adjusting to fame. So he's one of those guys that's, you know, needs to heed his own advice sometimes and realize that you're Adrian Broner. And, you know, listen, I understand he will tell you this, that, no, I'm just being me. But I think what happened with Adrian was he kind of saw the Floyd playbook, kind of took a page of it, and used it, and it obviously it has worked for him. I don't think that Adrian sometimes know when to turn the persona off.
Right.
And
it's almost as if he built the persona up so much that he doesn't know when to just be Adrian.
Okay, that does make a lot of sense, right there.
Like Ric Flair.
Yeah, Ric Flair. I don't know how to turn it off.
Brian,
No, he don't want to turn it off.
I want to turn it off.
Yeah. I got to ask you a quick question about ladies before we let you go.
Sure.
We got, you know, Clarissa Shields sitting out here, Layla Lee as a possible opponent, Chevelle Hallback, who else we got? Katie Taylor, all these different ladies that's, you know, bringing a lot of, how do you say it? A lot of hype to female boxing. Yes, and Kaylee Reese, we just saw her perform and get a WBA
Amanda Serrano
champ.
Serrano, yeah.
So, I mean, do you think women would get more fans if they A, move to 3 minutes, and B, be a little more appealing to men? And I'm saying that in a appealing.
Yeah, I think I think we have to do, and when I say we, I think boxing have to do a better job, I think, promoting the women. I think that would help because the UFC has done an outstanding job, like it or not, whether it is Amanda Nunes, whether it is my girl who remember she was the woman for a while, and then she got knocked out a couple times and she fell off, and now she's just doing movies.
So Ronda
Rousey, Amanda Nunes. They've done a phenomenal job marketing these ladies, and thus because they marketed them so well, they made good money. I don't know if boxing has done a great job marketing the females, and so I don't know if it's increasing the time or what. I know Clarissa has said, "Hey, look, give me 3 minutes, and I'll start knocking some of these, and I'm using her words. I'll start knocking these broads out," is what she said. So she wants more time because she said then I can show my power. I just think part of it too is boxing needs to do a better job of marketing the females, and maybe that will give more appeal to female boxing, and hopefully, and I'm sure more money would come their way.
Brian, when Christy Martin came out, she kind of caught the imagination. She put on a show and on the Mike Tyson undercard and really caught the imagination and had people, interested at that time.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? And at that time, they were doing a great job of marketing Christy Martin because, as you point out, she was on the undercards of Mike Tyson. She was the co-main a lot of times.
Right.
And was the main of other cards. So again, it goes to marketing. And for some reason now, I don't think shows and networks are like, I'm not trying to make them the main event. They can be, let's start with them and then maybe go to them. But, I think Clarissa Shields had a great point. By the way, was a guest on the Last Stand podcast.
You gotta listen to it, y'all. Check that out.
She made a great point. She said, why not? Why can't I be the co-main on a Charlo card? Why can't I be on Gervonta's card? I'm a champion too. And she's right. And so, but again, it goes to the network saying, ooh, she's the co-main. That means you got to pay more money, and that's the sad part of the sport. So I think we have to do a better job of marketing those ladies.
Yeah, definitely. I can't agree with you more. And that every month, the first Thursday in each month, we have ladies' night, and we try to highlight some of the ladies' talent. So anybody out there that wants to know more about the ladies boxing, please come on through and listen to us on every first Thursday of the month.
That's great.
Definitely need some more promotion.
That's great.
All right. Anybody else got any more last minute questions for Last Stands, Brian?
Yeah. I got a question, right? Name a fight that you saw where a guy was down in the fight. Let's just say the first 5 rounds, and then he came back, and you thought in your mind like it was impossible for this guy to come back, but he came back. Like, just name a fight that you saw where you just like you thought the guy had no chance, and he actually had a chance at the end.
I mean, if we go on history, Castillo Corrales. I mean, I was like, this guy is out. How many times did he get knocked down? And this thing is done. He just spit his mouthpiece out, I don't know, umpteen times. They're about to call this thing. And for him to come back, I mean, to me, that was one of the reasons too. I think I was like, at the time, maybe in college or something to that effect, I was like, yo, I love this sport. I love it. And I was just doing martial arts at the time. And I knew then that this was, from a profession standpoint, it was something that I wanted to do. But I think in recent times, I remember we were in England and we were doing Joshua Klitschko, and it looked like Klitschko had Anthony Joshua on the ropes. I was like, whoa, Anthony Joshua's about to lose this thing. And then for him to come back and then come back and stop that was an amazing fight. And then for it to be in 90,000 people, that was even that was without question probably the best boxing event I think I've ever attended and seen, because that crowd, they love it. They love it like we love football here. I mean, they're singing, they're chanting, and you're looking way up at the top, and you're like, how can these people even see anything up there? And they are just screaming and hollering in Wembley Stadium. It was an amazing, amazing environment.
Hey, we've been up there in those far raptures, and you can't even tell when someone's bleeding in the ring, and you got to look over to the screen and see him. Oh, he's bleeding. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
The energy is so amazing that you just want to be immersed in it. So that's what we're there for. But sometimes people like Brian might be able to get us, a little better seat now, baby.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that next time I'm in the ATL. We do a fight in the ATL.
Well, we're here.
Brian, don't see us in public. Act like you don't know us now.
Okay, I got you, Doc. I got you. Now during pandemic, I'm act like I don't know you because we got to keep that 6 feet. But once we get past this pandemic, it's all love.
the COVID, I mean, did you think that we would actually have a Showtime boxing event this year when the pandemic first hit us in like February?
No, I mean it was that was you know, I'll give our boss Stephen Espinoza a lot of credit for, you know, coming up with the bubble and doing what he's done. I mean, obviously we were the first one to do it in front of fans with tanks, and you know, luckily there was no issues there. But you know, again, a lot of it goes to testing. I know we got tested that week. I got tested 3 times that week. I got tested when we got there on Monday, got tested on the Friday, and then we got tested that Saturday morning as well. So they made sure that we were good. You know, that when we were in that bubble, whether it's at Mohegan Sun or whether it was there, we get there, we go to our hotel room. You cannot leave that hotel room. It is we do all of our meetings by Zoom like this. And it is the only time we come out of that room is game time, when it's time to do the show. And then that's, you know, we come dressed and we go down to the venue. But other than that, you're in that hotel room, except when you have to go get tested, and that's it.
And what an amazing job you and the Showtime team do. I love that commentating team.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for all of the work you do with boxing and how much passion you show us that you really have for the sport.
I appreciate it.
And we like that.
And you know, listen, I've told Espinoza a couple of times, and you know, and believe it or not, I was the one in his ear about us coming to Atlanta, because I had told him we used to talk about places to do a fight, and I kept saying, when are we coming to the ATL? We got to do Atlanta. And he kept saying, well, we've got to find the right fighter. Initially, we were going to come there with Broner, because Broner was staying there for a while, was living there for a while. And I kept telling him, we got to come to ATL. And then finally he said, well, Tank has a place there in Atlanta. What do you think? And I was like, he'll sell that place out. And luckily we did it. We did it and look, it was a sellout. And so trust me, I think they want to do it again. They want to make sure they have the right fighter to do it in Atlanta.
Brian, I got one last question I want to ask you. I was a big fan of this guy. How do you feel about the situation with Paulie Malignaggi?
Boy, that now you so you wait. I see what you said. You said okay. All right. All right. Yeah. So he said, I know what you're gonna do. I'm gonna leave the best for last, huh? All right. Yeah, I think, you know, listen, I think I've said this before. I think it was I thought it was hurtful. You know, I will say this, we at Showtime are a family. And I don't hold it. You every last one of you can be Trump supporters, and I'm with you. I mean, if we work that well, that's your opinion. Those are your views, and who am I to say you're right or wrong? I obviously sway a different way. So, you know, we had this back and forth with Paul all the time about that, because we knew he was a big Trump supporter. So that was nothing new to us. To me, it was hurtful just to hear his comments about to let somebody go down a road that you shouldn't go down. Just here. I mean, you can ask me whatever, but if you trying to take me down a road that I don't want to go down, I'm not going to go down it, no matter how much you try and ask it a different way. And so when that reporter, when I heard the interview and he asked him about that, you know, he was asking him about something about Devin Haney and Devin Haney's comments. Hey, he could have just ended it with, he's a young guy. They were immature comments. It happens. You know, trust me, he's going to grow from it, what have you. But then to take that and then pivot and then say that, you know, systemic racism is made up. It is not there. And then what happens a week or so later, George Floyd gets killed.
Right. Oh, yeah. The timing was not good. That is for sure. But it's never going to be a good time to say that systemic racism doesn't exist for me.
Absolutely. And so for me, now this is just me speaking. If I had said something like that about whether it is white folks or whether it is about someone Italian, and then all of a sudden a person like that got killed, I would probably want to apologize. And I would probably, now this is me, I can only speak for Brian. I would probably call my colleague who is maybe Italian and say, you know what, I want to apologize to you. Those comments, you know what, they weren't uncalled for. I understand now. I see what's going on. I understand now. But to be resolute in your opinion about that, I mean, it was hurtful.
Yes, I really understand exactly what you're saying. That was my response when I heard about it. And I actually had a chance to interview Paulie when he came down to Florida for the bare knuckles fighting champion fight that he was in. And like, he's so lovable, and it just shocked me. It, like you said, it hurt me, and he's not my colleague, but it hurt me that to know that he felt that way. And then for people to say, "Oh, it's an opinion." Well, no, systemic racism is facts. You can look it up with different stats and, you know, things that are out here to let us know that this is something that really exists. So I wasn't falling for that one.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you guys got a great team now with Abner Mares.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked out.
I mean, Abner's not cool. And listen, I told my boss, I'll tell you guys this. That's not my decision on what you do with him. That's your decision. But so I wouldn't want to be put in that position on, hey, what should I do? You get paid a lot more money than I to make those kind of decisions. You know, I'm just going to tell you how I felt about it. I didn't like it, but you got, you know, but there were, you know, now listen, there was some other things along the way that obviously went into that decision too, from the McGregor stuff and on and on and on. But obviously, when you don't want to apologize and they give you the opportunity to say, hey, just apologize, and he's why should I? That was my opinion. Okay, well, that's a problem.
Why you left us with no choice?
Yeah, exactly. That's a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Brian, we thank you so much for being with us tonight. Rob, did you have any last minute thoughts or questions?
No, I'm good, man. I just appreciate it. Once again, big fan, very, very big fan. You're my idol. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I don't take the position I have for granted, and with it comes great responsibility. And you know, you look around, and sometimes it's a sport dominated by us, but when you look around, there's not a lot of us commentating and talking about it, which is the unfortunate thing about it. So that's why I don't take my position for granted. And I know a lot of responsibility comes with it. And that's something I'm always cognizant of every time we go on the air.
We did have one last minute fan question. It's from Court. He says, what broadcaster did you watch that you love broadcasting, that made you love broadcasting?
Well, this will probably surprise a lot of people. But for me, I was, you know, again, when I first got into the business, it was into news. So for me, like, Ed Bradley was my guy. I mean, this was a brother who was so smooth, great storyteller, had an earring. Great. I mean, even if you could watch the old Muhammad Ali story he did on Muhammad Ali, that is journalism gold. And so for me, it was watching Ed Bradley. He was like my ultimate guy. But another guy who I thought was really good was a guy named Ted Koppel, who used to host Nightline.
Ted was good.
Ted Koppel was the ultimate interviewer. No matter what field that person was on, he could interview that person and elicit information from him. And so I love me some Ted Koppel because of his interviewing style. And then a guy who just had swag for me was Peter Jennings. Peter Jennings was a guy, suited, tie game, always on point. And when you turned on the nightly news, he exuded presence, just from his persona, how he delivered the news, how he dressed. So those to me, those are like my Mount Rushmore of cats that I kind of looked up to. It started with Ed Bradley because he looked like me. And I just loved everything about him from an interviewing standpoint. It was Ted Koppel. He was just phenomenal. And when the overall presentation, Peter Jennings, man, that cat, man.
Tom
God
Brokaw
bless
was
his soul.
always good too.
Yeah,
We telling our age, Brian. We got to get off here.
I know you're right.
Brian, you ever did anything with BET?
I've never worked with BET, man. Tell them to call me, man. We made the Last Stand podcast into a TV show, so we're now in over 100 million homes on the different networks. So we need to get it on BET.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks from Boxing Playhouse. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
And please, guys, make sure you go over to YouTube and sign up for Last Stand podcast. We got everybody. Brian, I'm gonna need you to pass some of those guests over to Boxing Playhouse when you get done with them.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
What, man? That suit you're talking about, I can't wait to see it.
Bro, it was clean too. That was another new one, man. When I did that one, I always got to pull out the new ones. Have my man makes them for me in New York, man. I always pull them out. Yo, I need a new one. We got this fight coming up. We got this, or I got this coming on, and he cuts that bad boy up for me and makes me look good.
Okay.
Yeah, you be smooth every time now. Don't get wrong. Thanks so much, Brian. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Bless to you. You guys have a great night.
Hey, you too, Brian.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, thank you.
Oh,
Clarence.
Clarence, thanks so much, man.
Clarence,
So thank you. I love y'all so much for this, man. You know, I get to make history with you guys. I love y'all so much for it. Thank you.
Love you too. I love that shirt you got on, Clarence.
Oh, you know what? I couldn't find nothing to wear today, and guess what popped up out my drawer?
Look, I got the same thing on.
Boxing Playhouse, baby. This is the family. It's the team.
Boxing Playhouse. So one last thing before we leave, guys, we wanted to do our sponsor for tonight, which, of course, is TNK Boxing Promotions from the Tampa Bay area. And then we also have Chris's new book, Christopher Young. And the book is on sale with Amazon. Anyone that's interested in having a boxing career, whether it be as a judge or a referee, this book is going to be your beginning guide on things that you need to know when you're getting into that field. And he's Chris, the author, is a Florida Boxing Commission approved referee and judge. So make sure you can get this book. Hit him up on Amazon. We're gonna, have a link. We'll provide for you guys to link on to that and purchase it too. Anything else?
I ain't looking to read anything. What's up, Larry? Larry said hello to us.
Okay. Well, the fans, we just thank you so much for being with us. Make sure you sign up for our podcast on YouTube, Twitter, IG, and Facebook. It's going to be Boxing Playhouse all day long. And you can even subscribe to our actual website, which is www.boxingplayhouse.com. You can catch us here every Thursday or until Friday. This week, it was a special edition. We may switch to Fridays for right now, being that it's football season. And have Rob come back on here. Click on Rob to come back. Rob, please tell us where our guests can find you.
Every Tuesday, Tough Talk Tuesday, Heavy Bag Boxing.
Absolutely. And I thought you were doing an NFL one too.
I'm not tonight.
Not right now? Oh, okay. Well, let me know now. So you can also catch me, Sakura A, with Rob on Tuesday nights on Heavy Bag Boxing, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also catch Clarence McLean on his group page. Tell us.
First back from the Hall of Fame.
You can find me on McLean's Promotion, Facebook, MCCLAIN, and you can find me on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Especially when it's fight week, you can catch me for those 3 days right there.
Clarence, how was your Hall of Fame weekend, man?
You know what? Before we get off here, that's what I want to talk about. Let me tell you. If you've never been to the Hall of Fame before, ladies and gentlemen, make your way. And the best Hall of Fame to go to is St. Pete. I enjoyed it.
Hi, whoop, whoop.
I enjoyed it.
PlayHouse.
Listen, I got great. Hey, Rob, we would invite you, Rob, but we don't know if you're gonna behave yourself, so we have to think about that.
No, it's COVID running rampant right here in Georgia right now, so I can't go nowhere right now.
And man, it's starting to get bad in Florida again too. Apparently, there were only 4 states that did not have increased numbers this week. So we gotta all, keep your hands fresh, keep your masks on, do your part for everyone.
But you know what? God made a way for us. He made a way for us to get to the Hall of Fame. So you know what? None of us came out sick. We came out healthy. So it was good. It was a blessing in disguise.
Well, cross your fingers on that, because usually it's about 7 to 10 days before you start feeling ill. So let's just hope that everybody stays fresh and clean during our weekend of fun. I want to send congratulations out to all of the Hall of Famers that got their rings this year. We had an amazing time. The fights were amazing with Lou DiBella Entertainment as well as T&K Boxing Promotions. And we want to send out a huge congratulations to Clarence, Mr. St. Pete Boo.
Ooh.
And also our girl Taz Carice Brown. And then Kaylee Reese. Yes, Kaylee Reese for winning that WBA belt. And I mean, she earned it.
Clarence, what was the most exciting part of the weekend?
I guess just being around you guys. I mean, far as the fights, I think it was Clarence's fight that really shocked me because I wasn't expecting that to happen. When Clarence fought, that kind of, I told him after the fight, I said, you made me come all the way from New York to see that. I was upset with him, and he said, listen, I had to get him out of there because all week he was talking junk, so I had to get him out of there.
That was a first round body punch.
But honestly, just meeting you guys, finally, I loved it. I really didn't want to leave, man, because I knew I was gonna miss you guys. But I was glad I had the opportunity to see you guys.
And talking with Jeff Lacey, that was pretty cool, man.
Nate Campbell, talking to Dahlia Duran, finally meeting the Duran family, which there's a lot of them. They like to turn up. That's a turn up family. They I love them though. That's a turn up family. I have to come prepared next year.
Was in the house.
The Duran
Yes. And next year we're hoping that you can come down too, so we can party with ATL as well.
Well, as long as Rob comes, if Rob comes, then yeah, I'll make sure to come. Rob, you gonna come, Rob?
Oh yeah, but I ain't making no promises about behaving.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't be behaving now. That's right.
To the next one.
Yeah, we gotta get you. Next year it's gonna be in June, hopefully. As long as COVID starts getting better, it will be in June.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for all your time, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all.